Welcome to Season 4, Episode 1 of Southerners Podcast, Teacher Talks, where we get to know more about your teachers. I'm Lily Wu.
And I'm Sarah Sun.
And in this episode, we interviewed Miss Knacke, a science teacher here at Grand X South High.
Hi, Miss Knacke.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good.
So thank you so much for agreeing to do this short interview for our podcast today. So we have a few questions for you.
Okay, it's a pleasure.
Firstly, can you briefly introduce yourself?
My name is Mrs. Knacke, and I'm new to South this year as the science department chairperson, but I had a really long career as a teacher at Great Neck North High School. I started at North in 2007. I finished my master's at Hofstra in 2006, and I finished my undergrad in biology at University of Maryland College Park. Go Terps. Loved Maryland, loved science. I always liked science, even as a kid, and I was just a really big nerd. I loved school. I loved everything about school. There was part of me that always thought about being a teacher. So when I finished my science or biology degree at Maryland, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do with it, I thought about going into education and just taking one class as a non-matriculating student. That summer after I graduated, I liked it. I always liked being around kids. I'm the oldest of 6. I was always a caretaker. So, I was always the babysitter, camp counselor. I just always liked kids. So that's where it started. The class was easy. I was this is going to be a great fit. And so that's how I got into education. Yeah.
That's amazing. So what are some of the classes that you currently teach at South High?
Right now, I'm teaching grade 9 Regents Bio and grade 9 Honors Bio. I have not worked with freshmen in a really, really long time. So that's a big adjustment. I have been teaching mostly AP Biology since 2011 and AP Enviro on and off since 2015. So I'm way more acclimated to working with older students. So it's an adjustment of getting back in the mindset of these are kids that are just starting high school, learning the expectations, all of that stuff. So I do miss teaching juniors and seniors, but getting back in the swing of things with the younger ones for sure. Yeah.
How has the transition been going from North High to South High, or just being in a new environment in general?
I mean, it's good. There's so many things that I've been really lucky that I've worked mostly with very motivated kids for my entire career, and so working to that high level of expectation, it continues from North to here. So that transition's been easy. It's more now being in a sort of leadership role where I'm trying to work with science teachers, make decisions for the benefit of the students and for the department, and hand in hand with the staff. That's really, really nice. The staff here is wonderful. I think really all of you as students here are very fortunate with the teaching staff that you have for science.
Well, we're really lucky to have you here. So I was wondering, you touched on this a little bit before, but why did you specifically want to teach science?
Oh, I just always loved science growing up. I loved even just being outside and being in nature. And as a self-professed dork when I was your age, it was something that I was always good at. Science just always felt like something that was just really interesting to me. So I knew I was going to study science. I kind of had thought about doing something as either being pre-med or pre-dental in college. But there was just a bunch of reasons that didn't happen. I really didn't like working in a healthcare setting. Being in that setting, frankly, just felt gross. So that wasn't really for me. I also did struggle in some of those upper level college chem classes, organic. I was yikes, this is not a super duper fit. And really when push came to shove, there were just more things that were signals to me time to change course than let's fight tooth and nail to make this happen. And it really worked out. I'm so grateful. I've always been grateful that this is where I ended up in this profession. Getting older and seeing what other adults' lifestyles are and just really enjoying my work I think it's unique. I don't think a lot of people get to say that about their jobs. So it's nice.
That's amazing, and I'm so glad to hear that you've had a smooth transition at South High. So, outside of your work and profession, what are some of your pastimes and hobbies?
I have 3 relatively young kids, so that is like, that's where my time goes, like straight up. My son just started 6th grade, so I am redoing 6th grade right now, basically. We sit down, open the laptop when we get home, let's look through the Schoology. That's my hobby, is redoing 6th grade. Otherwise, and my other 2 are in 4th and 2nd grade. And really it's a lot of it's like whatever is their hobby is like our hobbies. So like, you know, they play, all 3 of them do youth lacrosse. I coach youth lacrosse, so does my husband. My little one, my daughter does cheerleading. I'm coaching cheerleading. That's it. They ski, I ski poorly, but that's like a family activity that we do. So it's really like all about family time when it's not something work related.
Do you think being a teacher has sort of like influenced your relationship with your own children?
I actually think being a mother has influenced my trajectory as a teacher. And listen, it's just a more personal thing, but like, and especially now that my oldest son is getting older, that really informs, like, every kid has a different path educationally for me, you know, like, and I see that with my own children, and as they are getting older, it is helping inform, like, would I want this for my own child, and like how I deliver to my own students in the classroom. That's been really informative for me. Parenting has definitely informed my teaching, my expectations of kids in the classroom, and really understanding like kids are human and you have a million things going on, and just trying to be really respectful, I think more than anything else, of my own time and kids' time, and acknowledging like, you want to do this, like it's going to be harder to do it if like I'm pounding kids with homework or like having certain expectations. So like just acknowledging like we're all human, and seeing that for my own kids, like that definitely has translated into the classroom for sure. Yeah.
You mentioned how like you understand that every person has their own like educational goals. So what are your goals as head of the science department for both your students and for the rest of the department?
My goal is just to continue supporting the really diverse learners in the building with all of the really talented educators that we have too. You know, I feel like everyone's needs are getting met. Correct me if I'm wrong, but so far I feel like, you know, we got those AP Physics C kids, we have kids for whom science is just not their jam, and everyone gets to like be served. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love how there's also like a whole, like all the levels of classes are stratified, and so there's
Yeah.
always like a class for you,
Right.
no matter if you're very passionate about science or you're just taking the class because it's a requirement.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that your needs are getting met for sure.
I totally agree, because I'm totally a humanities kid right now, and I'm taking AP Physics 1. Even though it's 1, it's still like kind of challenging for me, and
Yeah.
I'm so glad that like all the teachers are still supportive of me and
Who's your
everything.
teacher?
Mr. Toomey.
Oh,
Shout out
that's
to
so
Mr. Toomey.
nice.
Amazing.
I know, and like I do love, I feel like I haven't really told them this, but I love like the physics dads. Like they really are so sweet with their students, and I just like love that, because I feel like also sometimes with more like math driven sciences, it doesn't necessarily attract the warm and fuzzy types. And I really do like to think like they are so just like warm and approachable in a class that I think reputation wise doesn't have that all the time. So that's another, I just love like, again, I just think of them as like these physics dads. Like, you know, I look around the science office and I'm like, how lucky are these kids? And like, you know, lucky for all of us to be together. It's really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I've had both Mr. Wells and Mr. Scaler in the past. and
Yeah.
they're both amazing teachers.
Yeah, they're awesome.
So you mentioned previously that you worked at North High before, and right now you're the science department at South High. Do you notice, are there any differences in the way that the science, the curriculums and everything is designed between North
They
and
really
South?
are very different.
Oh, wow.
I would say really in every grade, they're different. But they're also like different buildings, there's different expectations. And I think in terms of just like, not necessarily the diversity of learners, but I always felt like Humanities there, very strong. Push for that, the school newspaper, AP English classes, things like that. And while that totally existed in the sciences at North, I think, like, for example, like the physics in the upper grades, very stressed here. Like, and by that I mean, like, there's a big emphasis on that. Kids want it, their parents want it, whereas typically for the older grades at North, it's definitely more like life science driven. I feel like, anyway, I could be wrong, I've only been here for 10 weeks, but like more of an AP bio push for sure. AP Environmental, very popular for seniors. I would say at North, half the senior class is taking AP Environmental. So again, it's just as, like, we're all here to serve. It doesn't matter what side of town you're on. So if the needs of that department, like, and that staff and those kids is more driven toward bio and enviro for their juniors and seniors, here it's definitely more physics, but Godspeed. Everybody's doing great. Like, and what more could you want, no matter what side of town you live on? Yeah.
That's amazing, and that makes sense. Like, no matter what the students' needs are, like, the department and the teachers are there to sort of support that and offer the classes.
Yeah.
And I know you've only been here a few months, but what is your best memory so far from South High?
I really enjoyed the pep rally. It was so nice. I mean, like, it's just such a sweet time. All the kids come together. The cheerleaders did an incredible job. And also the way the teams, even as they enter and like hype everybody up, it was a really nice day. Yeah.
That's amazing. And we have a final question for you. So what's the best part of being a teacher for you?
Summer break. No, I'm kidding. But also kind of serious. The kids, and I think this is a big like cliche with teaching, but like keep me young. Like in a lot of ways where having that, you're constantly surrounded by like just youthful energy and like playfulness and silliness, it just informs my own existence, and it's fun. It is really fun. I don't know if a lot of kids necessarily come through here thinking they want to be teachers, but the quality of life to me is just unbeatable. Like, there really is no better job. Yeah.
That is amazing to hear. So that's all for our interview today. Thank you so much, Ms. Knacke, for having us.
It's so nice to meet you both. And again, I just am so grateful to be around seniors. Oh my God, like, I'm kidding, but it is, I miss teaching older grades, so it's very nice to get to know you both a little bit. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
This podcast is brought to you by The Southerner, Great Neck South High's newspaper. It is hosted by Sarah Sun, directed by Amelia Liao, and edited by Janice Lee.